Dear friends and ladies and gentlemen, today I'd like to talk a little bit about the foundation of bioethics in a sense. Now, in fact, we have been hearing many of our friends' presentation about almost the same ideas behind that. But I would like to go a little bit deeper into the root of bioethics and face of our global warming problem today. I cannot say that I would provide you with the solutions, but I want to say that how I think we may have a hope to solve the problem. Okay. Now this is about the outline I would like to present to you today. I may not be able to spread out all the items, but I try my best. Now, I would like to give you a brief introduction about what is my idea of the whole thing. I think it relates to at least to these 5 topics. Okay. It's about the root of bioethics. Now, we all know that bioethics is a creation in the 50s and 60s of last century. Okay. And actually it follows the title from an environmental study there. A guy called Prof actually coined the word bioethics for environmental problems at that time. And he means that by bioethics is an ethics for survival. There's an ethic for the survival of Homo sapiens. But then our foreigners just take over the term and put it in a more narrow kind of use. That's what we have usually making sense of the discipline of bioethics. But I think nowadays we seem to be going back again. Now if we remember in the last 10 years or so, more and more environmental things coming back to conference of bioethics. And I think this is one of the root meaning of bioethics. And it seems we come back in a circle, but I think we have still to develop further in that. Now, according to my understanding of the development of bioethics, actually there's 2 main streams of things converge into disciplines. The one is, of course, the rapid development of life science and technologies, especially medical technologies, especially in the West after the Second World War. Okay. So we have a lot of new issues coming around that former philosophers never or could never take notice of. Something like vegetative patients, organ transplantations, and individual fertilizations. And lately, what about the genetic methods? And most recent development is about the neurosciences. They all touch ultimately the essence or the meaning of being a person. And this is the basic meaning of bioethics. But all these issues have, at the same time, has something to do with other peoples, other species. Say, as my friend talked about genetics. Genetics is not just something concerned we ourselves. In fact, it's fixed already. Whatever I am, I was fixed when I was born 60 years ago. But it concerns more about our next generations. And these genetic methods concern not only human or Homo sapiens, concern all other species. And in a sense, if we don't have the background of the life system on Earth, we really don't understand what is a human being, what is Homo sapiens. Now, the second factor in the development of bioethics is the joining of the ethicists into the discussion of this kind of ethical issues. So there would be a lot of analytical studies on these bioethical issues, and it gives us something very deep and detailed analysis of the arguments and problems. And I think these two factors are the most important factors that constitute what we call bioethics today. Now, but I would like to say that up to now, after 50 or 60 years of development, according to my understanding of it, bioethics seems to turn back to its root. That is, it would be a kind of study that concerns the survival of Homo sapiens. And in fact, it should be the survival of the whole living things on Earth. And I would like to pinpoint that the essence of this seems to me that we are turning back from our personal well-being in bioethics studies into the concerns of the whole species. Within this development, bioethics actually have two special features. One thing is it's more or less an individualistic enterprise before. That's the personal well-being is most essential in bioethics studies. And the other thing is it developed in the West, so it have a very important factor there that is usually called the liberal individualism. And it's the basic framework for all bioethical studies up to now. Okay. But I think both of these need to be changed. Now, one of the witnesses of this kind of Western bioethics is the so-called the mainstream. This one. This is the mainstream of principles. In fact, most of our studies in bioethics and encounter today is more or less based on this mainstream of bioethic theories, principles. We usually talk about the four principles: principle of respect for autonomy, non-magnificence, benevolence, and justice. Actually, the background is this principle, or sometimes we call the four principle theories. But in fact, this principalism is embedded in the liberal individualism in the West. Okay. And I would like to say that there's some serious problem with this approach, and that's why we have to examine it and, in a sense, amend a lot of the problems. That's the problem with this principles of individual liberalism. I just raised two examples here. Actually, these examples are we usually read in the textbook of bioethics. Okay. One is a very famous bioethicist in the West saying that For example, the mother should not be asked to donate her kidney to save her child. Why? Because she could not refuse the request, and thus she would not lose her autonomy. Okay. So if you have an organ problem, you should not ask your mother, because you will infringe her autonomy. That would be the greatest evil for the Western bioethics. Yeah, another one is also a case I read in these textbooks. That is, a father rejects to donate his kidney to save his dying daughter, but asks the physician to lie to his wife. Otherwise, the family would be broken, and the physician would be responsible. This sounds very clear to our ears. I think the mother have all the wishes to save her child, no matter what. And I don't think this would be any infringement of her autonomy. And next, you think that the mother and the child are strangers, totally strangers. They are not related. In the same way, that a father, he could not enjoy the benefit of family without taking the responsibility as a family member. I think in these cases, you see that there is some serious problem underlying the Western bioethics. And it precisely what I would like to call the individualism behind it. So, in bioethics and in ethics in general, we know that we have everything to do with others. And I would like to put it in a simple way. Bioethics is always something that concerns the interaction of individuals. It will never be just an individual. Some interactions between individuals. And the individuals are related differently. We have to accept this fact that individuals are different, the relations are different, and we will carry different ethical responsibilities for us. And now they are talking about the global warming problem. You could see that actually it's not only just human species concerned, it concerns all species. We know that because of this effect of global warming, the distinction of species have been, some estimates say 100% higher than the normal one. That means biodiversity is rapidly disappearing. Okay. And it will not be too long, maybe the next distinct species would be Homo sapiens. If you think about the methane coming out from the underground, when all the ice melt, we could not survive. And it may not be too long. So we are returning with a little global kind of consideration, such issues as populations, environmental questions, and it becomes a conflict in bioethics between the well-being of an individual and the well-being of the whole species. I try to think at it in a way that I would like to call it the macro and micro aspects of bioethics. And it may be phrased as individual well-being versus human species survival. Now, in the long past 60 years to development of bioethics, I would like to say that moral individualism is very significant in its development. I suppose you know who are those moral individualism. There are at least two very famous named here, Peter Singer, and Tom Regan, and a lot of others. They are more or less embodying a kind of moral individualism. I'm not saying that moral individuals are totally bad or no good. It has done something very important. That is, they preserve the equality and equal rights of all individuals. I think this is important. Whatever we talk about in bioethics, in the past or in the future, the individual is still one of the basic things we have to consider. Okay? And I think moral individualism should be considered as one of their contributions here. But ethics, as I said, it always interactions and always relative. Okay. We have not only individual things or responsibility. Actually, individual responsibility is always responsibility for the family, for the society, and the return to enlarge it would be for the whole living species, or even for our beloved Earth. So, I think we have to reframe the whole study of bioethics. I would like to say that maybe we have to take the micro issues within a macro framework. The macro framework is some sort of holism. Micro issues are usually what we talk about abortion, talk about transplantation, or even about public health. But actually, we have to consider them within a larger framework, larger than individualism. That's what I would like to say. We may have to reframe our framework for bioethics. But I'm not saying that we are totally neglecting the individual here. I would like to say we could have a kind of integrated approach here, taking consideration of the individual, but the whole at the same time. So maybe it's time that we should develop from individual to community into species. And I'd like to use the term, the political philosophy, for inclusion or exclusion. I would say that individualism is one end of this schedule. Individualism, especially the kind of libertarian individualism, they are almost totally exclusive. Nobody could claim any responsibility to him with this concept of bioethics. And I think that this is not quite right. Okay, sure. Now, how to do that? And my conception is we have to take a kind of inclusive approach here. That is, we expand our circle of care, or in Confucian term, the gradation of love. Actually, it's the gradation of responsibility. We have the individual, the family, and the society, the state, and then the whole world. And I would say, from now on, bioethics has considered not only Homo sapien well-being, but to all the whole ecosystem, not the whole. So, we are returning with the ethical kind of consideration in such issues. Incorporation. Did I go there? Now I would like to talk a little bit more about the other four topics. I just go with. So, from the national and environmental issues, as we know that, individualism, individual national interests could not be the base to solve the problem. Now, if you follow closely the development of the signing of the Universal Agreement on Global Warming or climate change, you will know the difficulty and how little we have arrived from almost 30 years of discussion about how to solve the problem. And unfortunately today, some of us may worry, say, because the United States has the new president, and this president is not friendly to global warming at all. Okay. In the United States, there's a strong voice that global warming is a hoax, a fake, it's not true. And this new president of the United States may work it back again. If he did, if he does, then the hope for a global warming less than 1 degree or 2 degrees is hopeless, because the United States have about 20% of the contribution to global warming. And the United States retreat, unfortunately. And our friends, India, may retreat too. And they are two of the three most important countries in getting greenhouse gases. So I would like to say we have to have an integrated world here. Globalization means thinking globally and acting globally. Now, just some suggestions here that how to solve this problem. Like we need at least some international cooperations, species, because species are interdependent. And I would like to say we need the new paradigm in global affairs. I suggest that we have to reduce some kind of narrow nationalism. Now, for a long time in environmental studies, we know that one of the very famous slogans by the old George Bush, and he said that if anything that has done about my national interest, we cannot talk about it. And it's still the attitude up to date for the United States people. But I think we have no reason to stay with this kind of narrow nationalism. And I would say that national interests will not be violent. If we think that we are doomed to fail. I would like to say, according to my understanding of Confucianism, that we need some kind of transnational conception in place of this kind of individualistic or narrowly nationalism. Now, this may be something that we could hope to do to reduce or lessen our environmental harm, and hope to contribute some of our solution for survival in the near future. So actually, my concluding remarks is very simple, that we are all in the family. Okay? No exception. You will not escape from this. And Earth is our common future. There's no further hurt. Don't expect it. And lastly, as a human person, we have our responsibility to future generations. We cannot think about that everything is okay when I die. Nothing is okay, and something needs to be done. Okay, thank you very much.